LeBron James is officially heading to the Philadelphia 76ers, but that decision caught a lot of people off guard. For weeks, many expected him to end up with the Golden State Warriors instead. Now LeBron is finally revealing why that move never happened, and it all came down to something far bigger than basketball. Let me catch you up the decision he finally made. On July 24, 2026, LeBron James went to his own X account and explained his choice. He announced that he was joining the Philadelphia 76ers, and it was the first time he spoke in his own words about his free agency after telling the Los Angeles Lakers weeks earlier that he would not return. The deal itself was small by his standards. He agreed to a 2-year contract worth about $8 million, with a player option on the second year, set at the veteran minimum. On ESPN's First Take, the news broke like this.
He is headed to the Philadelphia 76ers on a 2-year, veteran minimum $8 million deal.
That figure mattered because it told everyone that money was not the point. In his statement, James wrote about where his head was at the end of the 2025-26 season. He said he truly believed he had played his final NBA game. He was not ready to retire on paper, but the thought felt real. On the breakdown of his message, analysts explained just how close he came to walking away.
He actually thought he was going to retire after his last game in the playoffs this past season.
He pointed back to the press conference after the Lakers season ended, where he told reporters he needed to look at himself and figure out if he still loved the game. The answer was yes. In the post, he confirmed the self-check was honest and that he still loved basketball. He called the weeks of free agency really special. For the first time in his career, he said he had no set path and real time to just think. He spent those weeks with the people closest to him. Those weeks were not spent on one team. Shams Charania reported that LeBron talked to Philadelphia, Cleveland, and Miami as the frontrunners in the East.
Courtney, he spent the last few weeks talking to Philadelphia, Cleveland, Miami.
And here's a detail that shocked people. The Sixers were not even in the running at first. They only jumped into the picture after they traded for Jaylen Brown. Many watchers, including Stephen A. Smith, went in expecting a different ending.
It's rooted in the fact that I know what Cleveland means to him.
He framed the choice as his last decision. He said money was not the driver, and that family was not the main basis either. Then he asked himself what he was still playing for, and answered it. The will to sacrifice, to work, to grind, to compete, and to chase the feeling of one more title. The statement then turned to Philadelphia. He wrote that he believed he could help make the 76ers a championship team and start what he called this incredible journey one last time. He closed with a short line. "Thank you, LA, Miami. I'll forever love, and Northeast Ohio will always home." He named only the 3 teams he had already given years to. He did not mention the Golden State Warriors at all. His agent, Rich Paul, spoke to reporters that same day. He said the choice stayed among the same 4 teams the whole time.
So for the last however many weeks, it's been going back and forth among those 4.
The 4 were Golden State, Cleveland, Miami, and Philadelphia. When a reporter asked if it ever shrank to 3 or 2, Paul was clear.
No.
It was always those 4.
Paul also said the choice came late in the middle of the night before the news broke.
When was the decision made?
Shit. I mean, probably about, I don't know, what time was it last night? 1 in the morning.
So the Warriors were in it until the end. They just did not win. And the moment the news hit, the reaction inside Philadelphia was loud. Guard Tyrese Maxey was in the gym when he heard, and his teammates caught it on camera. Jaylen Brown posted a short message that read, "Throw the ball up." And rookie VJ Edgecombe recreated LeBron's own "I can't believe this is my life" meme. That was the surface of the story. Now here's the why. The legacy wound from 2015 to 2018. To understand why the Warriors were always fighting uphill, you have to travel back almost a decade to the fiercest rivalry of LeBron's career. From 2015 through 2018, the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors met in 4 straight NBA Finals, and the Warriors walked away as champions in 3 of them. Those series were brutal, personal, and defining. They shaped how the world talked about LeBron, and they left a scar that never fully healed. Back in early 2018, while he was still wearing a Cavaliers jersey and staring down another summer of free agency, multiple reports said LeBron had privately told people close to him that he would never join the Warriors because of what it would do to his legacy. Think about the weight of that. The Warriors were not just any team, they were the wall he kept crashing into. The group that stood between him and more banners. To go and put on their colors would invite endless questions about whether he had simply given up and joined the very machine that beat him. At the time, LeBron waved off the noise in public. He called the speculation nonsense and a non-story, and insisted his focus was only on Cleveland. But the private feeling had already leaked out, and it stuck to him for years. Every time a Warriors partnership came up again, that old boundary came back with it, like a ghost that refused to leave the room. Here's what made that scar sting even more. The individual numbers say LeBron did not fail in that rivalry. He carried outman teams onto the sport's biggest stage year after year, and even in the losses he played like a giant. On Undisputed, Chris Broussard laid out just how strong his finals run really was.
He played tremendously. Like you said, 34, 10, 8, 53% shooting.
Numbers like that, and he still got swept in 4 straight games. That is the heartbreak baked into the whole era. And Broussard was quick to remind everyone that getting swept does not erase greatness, because it has happened to the very best who ever played.
And, okay, he got swept. Guess who else has been swept? Magic and Kareem.
The list of legends who tasted a sweep runs long, and it includes the name most fans hold above all others.
Michael Jordan swept. It has happened to every great player.
So the sweep alone was not the wound. The wound was the idea of surrender. Joining the Warriors would have flipped the whole story of that rivalry on its head, turning the man who fought them into the man who finally quit and joined them. And there's a second legacy knock that has followed LeBron for years, one that Charles Barkley never lets die. Barkley has long argued that LeBron builds his rings by loading up on stars.
Yo, man, you always stacking your team. He stacked it in Miami. He stacked it in Cleveland.
The criticism did not stop with his past stops. Barkley extended it right into this new chapter in Philadelphia.
He stacked it in LA. Now he's stacking it in Philly.
Now imagine that same critic if LeBron had gone to Golden State, a team with 2 more Hall of Famers already in place. It would have been the ultimate example of the very thing his doubters throw at him. So the legacy piece was the first quiet wall, deep and personal, long before free agency ever opened. Philadelphia carried none of that history, no bitter finals memory, no whisper of surrender, no old rival to reward. But legacy was only one part of the puzzle. The next wall was made of cold, hard numbers, the money that didn't add up. If legacy was the emotional obstacle, then money was the mechanical one, and the gap here was enormous. Just one season earlier, LeBron was one of the highest paid players on the planet. He earned roughly $52.6 million in the 2025-26 season in the final year of his Lakers deal. That is superstar money near the very top of the league, the kind of paycheck he had commanded for 2 straight decades. The size of that number is exactly what makes what he did next so striking. On a breakdown video about the signing, analysts laid out just how steep the drop was.
So I gotta say, I was curious about the money, because his contract with the Lakers was 2 years, $100 million.
That was the world he was leaving behind, $100 million over 2 seasons, and then came the comparison that made everyone's jaw drop.
Heck of a lot of money. This is 2 years, $8 million.
$8 million total at the veteran minimum, with a first-year figure of about $3.88 million. For most people, that is still a fortune, but for LeBron, it is a rounding error, and the reason why is bigger than basketball. He has earned hundreds of millions in salary across his career, and even more from his shoe deals, his media company, and his other businesses. The same analysts made that point plainly.
This is not a player that is requiring that salary.
That single sentence changes everything. When a man does not need the check stops steering the decision. And that was new for LeBron, because every big free agency move of his past had a clear engine behind it. His jump to Miami in 2010 was about chasing titles. His return to Cleveland was about keeping a promise to his home region. His move to Los Angeles was about business, Hollywood, and life beyond the game. This time, for the first time, there was no outside pull at all.
It was the first time it felt like in his career that there was no motivation behind what decision he was making.
Here's where the Warriors' money story falls apart too. Even Golden State could not offer him close to his old number. Their ability to pay him more depended entirely on tricky roster math. On June 29, 2026, Draymond Green declined his roughly $27.6 million player option in a deliberate move to free up money, with a plan to re-sign later at a lower yearly figure so the team could keep him and still make an offer. That opt-out let Golden State reach for the non-taxpayer mid-level exception, worth about $15 million for the season. $15 million sounds like a lot, and it was more than the minimum LeBron ended up taking in Philadelphia, but it was still a painful drop of more than $37 million from his last salary, and that was the absolute ceiling for the Warriors. Not a comfortable offer. Their books were already tight. Golden State had committed to a 2-year, $40 million extension for Kristaps Porzingis earlier in the offseason. Add Stephen Curry's massive salary, the rest of the rotation, and the lingering money tied to an injured Jimmy Butler, and the team sat dangerously close to the first apron. Crossing that apron would have handcuffed their ability to make more moves. Philadelphia's situation was cleaner. The 76ers had clearer pathways under the cap to absorb a minimum deal, and the player option on the second year handed LeBron future control. control, the freedom to opt out and hit the market again if he wanted. That is a kind of leverage a simple one-year mid-level deal in Golden State could not match as cleanly. And remember, this fits a man who has rarely taken large pay cuts across his whole career, which makes the size of this sacrifice even louder. On First Take, Shams said LeBron settled the money question before he even picked a team.
When he made it clear that this was not going to be a financial decision,
Rich Paul put the heart of it in the plainest terms possible.
Man, this is the love for the game decision. Like, nobody at this level.
Once you strip the money out of the equation, the whole thing changes. If dollars were not deciding it, then the only question left was simple and cutting. Which roster gave him the best shot at a ring? And that is exactly where the Warriors fell apart. The roster that couldn't win now. This is the wall that mattered most because at 41 years old and heading into a record 24th season, LeBron did not have time to wait. He needed a team ready to win immediately, a roster built to contend right now, not a project that might come together someday. And when he looked hard at Golden State, he saw an aging, banged-up group in the toughest conference in basketball. The Warriors' core was old and worn. Stephen Curry was deep into his late 30s, Draymond Green was in his mid-30s, and the supporting cast carried the same heavy mileage. Worse, one of their key pieces was not even available. Jimmy Butler was still recovering from a torn ACL, with a timeline that stretched into the middle of the 2026-27 season at best. That meant Golden State would start the year without one of its best scorers and defenders, a massive hole for a team already short on youth. The scoreboard told the same grim story. The Warriors finished the previous season with just 37 wins, a total that dumped them into the play-in scramble rather than the contender tier. And they lived in the brutal Western Conference, where younger, deeper teams like the Oklahoma City Thunder and San Antonio Spurs stood in the way. Rich Paul pointed to that exact imbalance when he explained the landscape.
And the Spurs are in the West, but actually the East is better than the West right now.
That single line captures the strategic trap. Even if LeBron made the Warriors better, they would still have to claw through a murderer's row just to reach the finals, while the Eastern options offered a smoother road. Now put Philadelphia's roster next to that. After the Jaylen Brown trade, the Sixers had a lineup that made analysts light up.
so you have Tyrese Maxey, you have BJ Edgecombe, you have Jaylen Brown, and Joel Embiid. So
add LeBron to that group, and Shams did not hold back on how dangerous it looked on paper. The kicker is that
it's going to be as formidable, if not the most formidable starting five in the NBA.
Philadelphia did not even need Joel Embiid to be a superstar for this to work.
He only has to be the fourth best player.
With four other high-level players around him, Embiid could slot in as a supporting piece. And Charles Barkley spelled out exactly how low the bar was for him. And the signs on Embiid were pointing up because the big man had finally strung together a healthy offseason after years of surgeries. Rich Paul said the reports out of Philadelphia were encouraging.
From my understanding, Embiid is doing a hell of a job this summer. It's the first summer he's actually been healthy.
On First Take, Brian Windhorst spelled out why Golden State's pitch never really had teeth by comparison.
Draymond Green was recruiting him to Golden State, but they're in the Western Conference and there's complications there. The Warriors wouldn't have been.
The complications piled up fast, and the bottom line was harsh.
That sort of instant championship contender.
This was not a finished contender waiting on one final piece. And that is the part that stings most for Warriors fans, because there was a plan to fix it. Golden State explored a blockbuster trade for Anthony Davis from the Washington Wizards, a move that would have paired Davis with Curry, Green, and James into a real super team. Some reports even suggested LeBron's interest was tied to Davis also landing there. But the timing was awkward, since Davis was not extension eligible until early August, and Washington kept signaling it wanted to keep him. On NBC Sports Bay Area, analysts broke down whether the Warriors could actually pull it off.
If you're the Warriors, I think if there's an opening there, you could probably do it.
There was an opening, yes, but the cost was steep and the pieces did not line up cleanly.
But it would require Jimmy and some draft picks and another salary probably.
In the end, that trade never happened. No agreement was reached with the Wizards. Butler stayed on the roster, and the Warriors' pitch collapsed back to existing personnel and old friendships. Without the Davis upgrade, they were selling an aging team with a bad win total in a stacked conference. Philadelphia, meanwhile, had gone out and built something, and that leads to the final piece of the puzzle. The people, the pursuit, the friends, and the team that won. Here's what makes this story so bittersweet for Golden State. The Warriors did not chase LeBron for a few weeks. They chased him for years, with real relationships and real effort, and it still was not enough. Even Charles Barkley, stunned by the whole thing, pointed out that Philadelphia and Golden State were equally strange fits on paper.
Because I wanted him to go back to Cleveland. I mean, he has no affiliation with the 76ers. He has no affiliation with the Warriors.
The Warriors' pursuit was aggressive, and it went to the very top years ago. Back at the February 2024 trade deadline, owner Joe Lacob personally called Lakers governor Jeannie Buss to ask about trading for LeBron. It was not just an owner's phone call either. The two front offices got involved in a fast 24-hour window, with Warriors general manager Mike Dunleavy Jr. and Lakers general manager Rob Pelinka talking through what a deal might look like. Golden State was ready to send a package of players and picks for a man who was still playing at an all-NBA level in his late 30s. But the answer came back cold and fast. Rich Paul made it clear that LeBron had no interest in being traded and wanted to stay a Laker, and LeBron later said he only learned of the Warriors' interest when the public did. The door was shut before it ever really opened. The bond behind that push was real, and that is what made Golden State believe. LeBron and Stephen Curry won Olympic gold together at the 2024 Paris Games, where LeBron took tournament MVP and Curry closed out games with cold-blooded shooting. On the floor, their fit was seamless, with Curry's constant off-ball movement stretching defenses and opening driving lanes for LeBron, while LeBron's passing found Curry for clean looks. It was proof, not theory, that they could play together. LeBron and Draymond Green have shared the same agent for years and spent real time together off the court, including golf outings and a 2026 trip to Puerto Rico.
Who wouldn't want to play with Steph Curry and Draymond Green?
That would have been a lot of fun. That would have been a lot of fun, but
Green later confirmed on his own podcast that he used those hangouts to pitch LeBron directly on joining the Warriors.
It's not the choice of someone who is really pursuing a championship.
Curry, too, had spoken openly about how special a late career pairing would be, and even confirmed the two had traded text messages, while always saying the choice belonged to LeBron alone. In that Rich Paul interview, the pull of a Curry and Green reunion was acknowledged honestly. Fun, yes, but fun was never the assignment. The very next breath cut right to the truth of it. That line is the whole story in one sentence. There was also the matter of geography and family. LeBron had leaned on the people closest to him through this entire process, and the West Coast created real distance concerns for a group that mattered deeply to him. On First Take, Shams laid out where his family actually lives.
With LeBron James, we know Savannah, his wife, Zuri, his young daughter, they're LA-based.
Signing in the East meant leaving the West Coast no matter what, but Philadelphia offered a workable answer. Reports noted he could base himself in New York City and commute to practices in Camden and games in Philadelphia, a balance the Bay Area could not match. And when the news finally landed, Curry's reaction told you everything. While playing in a charity golf tournament, fans shouted that LeBron had picked the 76ers. Curry said nothing, quietly checked his phone, and drove off in his cart. No words, just silence. So what did Philadelphia have that Golden State did not? A roster built to win now. People LeBron trusted in the front office, and a bond with a young star that went back years.
He trusts Mike Gansey, somebody he's known since high school.
On First Take, Windhorst pointed to the management LeBron leaned on, but the real domino, the move that put the Sixers on the map at all, was a trade.
Well, I think the kicker was Jaylen Brown. He wouldn't have came to Philly if they didn't get Jaylen Brown.
Charles Barkley named it flat out. Once Philadelphia landed Jaylen Brown, the roster became a true contender.
He's taking that next step. Our relationship has been pretty respectful.
And any old tension between LeBron and Brown melted away. And it went deeper with Tyrese Maxey, whose bond with LeBron did not start this summer. Rich Paul said the two go back a long way. That is the full answer. The Warriors carried the weight of a legacy rivalry, a capped-out and aging roster, a torn ACL, a stacked Western Conference, and a super team trade that never closed. Philadelphia offered a clean slate, a ready-made contender, trusted people in the building, and relationships that ran for years. So he chose Philly and left Golden State behind for good. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.